I'm live. Good morning, sunshine. Mm, mm, mm. Pictures in my head. Yeah, baby. 72 and beautiful in Cleveland today. Man, it's nice. Man, it's nice. I should just get the Harley out and say to hell with the world and move on. Really, really should. 8 o'clock. Well, 8:08. I'm sorry. I'm late. I tried to be a little earlier, but yeah, I've been working this stream out in my head. How to deliver this. I had time to hang out with the neighbors yesterday before I barbecued, or the day before, whichever. Well, whatever it was. I think it might have. Well, whatever. And here I am hanging out with 50-year-olds, and they're all about, well, these kids this, these kids that, these, and I've apologized to the millennials in the past. Because they're an incredible bunch of people. They're ahead of the curve on a lot of things. And they're not responsible. Hey, Katrin. Welcome, welcome. Hey, Bobby. Let me just kind of formulate this in my head, Bobby. I'm trying to get this thought out, and it's been pumping away in my head all morning. After the conversation with these 50 somethings yesterday. You know, Everybody wants to sit and look back at these millennials and go, they're so lazy and they're so this and they're so, well, now, who made them that way? Who gave them the impression that letting things just happen is the right way to go? Well, think this through. Think this through. Before you jump down my throat, think this through. I've got neighbors that won't get out of their own way. I've got neighbors that are looking at my yard going, wow, that is so incredible. I cannot believe how nice that looks. I can't believe that what you say in the book and what I've watched you do in the book to your yard is all you do. Yeah, that's all I do. And their next comment is, yeah, but you know, I can't be bothered. That's you know, yeah, it looks really good and what have you, but I just don't want to do anything. There's the example that these millennials are seeing. There's the bottom line. The millennials are watching the older generations just fluff everything off, just ignore everything, let time happen. That's why we're in the condition that we're in. That's why they have this impression that, oh, screw it, deal with it when it happens. I mean, I've got neighbors on my street. They don't cut their grass until the city notice is posted on their door and their grass is over a foot tall. And then they whine and whine and whine and whine because of how much work they've got to do to cut their grass just to not be fined $300 by the city. What takes me I'm sure somebody timed it, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes. That's it. That's all it takes me. They're facing 5 or 6 hours worth of backbreaking work to not get a $300 fine. And you know, everybody's kind of, wishy-washy in this area, and it's like, no, we caused this problem. Our lack of motivation, our lack of interest, our lack of anything. We'd rather sit on the couch and stare at the idiot box than get outside, get some vitamin D, and get healthy. I mean, I went camping once with the family, and instead of cleaning up the area around where we were to help the campground and gather up wood and break it all up and what have you, they stopped 10 miles before we got to the campground and purchased pre-cut wood. What's the logic here? What's the logic? Even if the situation weren't as bad as it is globally, I would think that any generation would want healthy, nothing more, just a healthy planet. And by washing away pollution in your yard, nothing more, just washing away the pollution in your yard would make your yard healthier, would make grass grow better, and stop this, what did they call it? Desert, desert, desertification, where deserts are just expanding exponentially, and they shouldn't be. They should be retreating. Right, right, Katrin, right. Um, so we're stuck in this situation where people want everything handed to them. They don't want to do anything. And then when theirs doesn't look as good, they want to complain. But when theirs gets out of control, they complain even more. So they would rather do nothing. And the global problem continues getting worse. They're the first ones to walk into McDonald's and bitch about these kids and their lack of motivation, their lack of interest, their lack of anything. Yet, what do they do when they get home? They used to say lead by example. Hey, 420, what's going on? They used to say lead this generation, lead all generations by example. Do for yourself first and be the example. Show them what's possible, show them what's capable. I don't want anything put in my yard because, oh my God, if my yard starts growing more, I'm going to have to, what, live healthier? I don't want to plant a garden this year. You go plant it for me. I could make a fortune. I could make a fortune off of people's basic laziness and just go plant everybody's garden for them. Then you get into the other issue of, well, why don't you have time for me? Uh, you know, you're supposed to be doing this for free because you like to do it. Like I have no life, right? Like I have 40 hours a day to come take care of everybody else. We have to accept responsibility. Ultimately, it's our examples that show our neighbors there's a healthier way. It's our examples that show this next generation they don't need to spend $200 a year to help destroy the planet when they can spend 50 and have 3 years worth of product. I don't understand. I don't understand. Why would you not want a few $1,000s in groceries growing in your own yard, as healthy as it can possibly be, versus spending that few thousand? Oh, wait, yeah, that's because they'd have to go outside and spend 10 minutes in a garden once a week. I don't understand. I don't understand. We are the example. We are the example. I had a 6 year old fatherless kid, whole different ball game, whole different ball of wax, but I'm like the street father when it comes to the bicycles. Everybody knows I have the equipment and the knowledge, so they're always banging on my door at the worst possible hours. But I had an 8 year old come to my door, bike leaning on the steps, and all he did was look at me and said, "My bike." Not please, not thank you, not nothing. I told him, sure, yeah, we're getting into the season. It's that time. Let's get a good look at it. Chains all rusted up, wheels are out of alignment, bolts are missing. The thing's a mess. So he brings it into the backyard. I've got everything set up and ready to go. I start balancing the spokes and get everything lined up for him, get the chain all cleaned up and what have you, not really paying much attention to what's going on. He gets, I get the whole bike put back together. He's ready to go for the season and he takes off. And I turn around and look and he's thrown open both gates, left them both wide open. Not a word of thank you, not this, not that, not the other. It's just expected. So an 8 year old now has the impression that, you just show up at this guy's house and say, fix this and walk away. This is the example that has been set for him by his parent. In the example above that, in the example above that. So this is now acceptable lack of behavior. And I sit back and I wonder why the book's not doing very well. Because ultimately, in everybody's mind, and I guess I hadn't looked at this factor or this part of it, nobody's willing to accept responsibility for cleaning up the mess from the pollution in their own yard. Nobody's willing to accept the responsibility of growing a garden. Even though I've made it as simple as possible, as weed free as possible, that's too much like work. To take a seed and stick it in some topsoil is too much work. To have solid, healthy, flood free yards where you don't have to water at all is too much like work. Oh no, we can't have that. I, I didn't take this into account when I wrote the book, that what we have is multiple generations not wanting to accept responsibility. They would rather have a completely paved yard, weed free, and a flooded basement when we get a 16th or quarter inch or half inch of rain, because there's nowhere for the water to go. But then wonder why everybody's sick. This is a mindset. This is a programming ultimately that we fell for. We fell for this. We believe this. And our actions are direct actions seen by our children, and so on and so on and so on. You know, there was a huge discussion I got dragged into yesterday that I never responded to, and I'm still getting blamed for it, about ADD and all the BS involved in this attention deficit disorder. Wait, wait. We have lack of nutritional value in all of our foods. We have Similac raised kids sucking down these chemicals and these poisons, messing with their heads. We have schools that will no longer allow recess to get rid of excess energy, and then wonder why these kids are bouncing off the walls in our classrooms. No, we call that ADD. No, I call that being a kid. It's not that we have attention deficit disorder. It's that kids are kids. They're full of energy. They're full of life. They need someplace to get rid of that energy. They'd rather take this child, put him on medication, and stick him in front of an Xbox, and then wonder why we have issues. It's not a, it's not, there's a war going on here, and we're paying for it. We're paying for it. I mean, when I went to school, I was a hyperactive kid. My mind roamed and wandered and what have you in classrooms. They thought there were issues. I was just a kid, just being a kid. I had so much pent up energy. Worst thing you could do in the middle of summer is lock me in a classroom when there's beautiful sunshine outside, and then wonder why I'm not paying attention. Well, it wasn't ADD. It said I needed to be outside running off that energy. I needed to be distracted doing something else. This is all planned out. This is all planned out. This is supposed to happen this way, so that we end up with exactly what we have. Exactly what we have. A repeat of idiocracy. We have generation after generation after generation passing the buck. Nobody wants to accept responsibility for themselves, let alone be the example for anybody else. My landscaper buddy come over the other day telling me how he cuts grass far better than I do, because he spends so much time every day cutting grass that it's not the machine, it's the operator. Meanwhile, I look at his machine and it's falling apart. It's half together. It's this, it's that. When it broke down the other day, the first person he come running to help him fix it was me. But he's a far better grass cutter because he spends so much time on his lawnmower. I've spent a lifetime on lawnmowers, but he's a better grass cutter. Not like it makes any damn difference. But that's the mindset. That's the that's the reality of it. Here's a landscaper who's got a yard he wouldn't even show to one of his customers because it's so weed filled, unkept, and trashed. It's just, I mean, it's a mess. I wouldn't want that guy taking care of my lawn. I know. The worst car at the mechanic shop is the mechanics because he never has time to take care of himself. I know. That's pure laziness. That's pure not accepting responsibility for yourself. We can't complain about what these millennials are doing. We can't be upset with these people. They're only going by example. They're watching what little we do, and they're doing even less. And we want to complain about it. It's like, when you constantly pick up after the child will never pick up again. Why should they? When you're willing to do it for them. You may be complaining and moaning and groaning about it, but they're not going to accept responsibility because somebody else is there to do it for them. I mean, I watched Bobby's mom cleaning up after Bobby yesterday, and where's Bobby sitting there watching, not trying to help, not accepting responsibility for the amount of Amazon boxes. I couldn't believe he actually sat there and let her tear up an Amazon box. I was stunned. I was just stunned. Oh my God, Bobby, you just lost an Amazon box. I thought you were collecting them. It's Look, it's not about making your yards grow more and grow better and be healthier. It's about fixing a global phenomena. It's about everybody realizing there's somebody else causing this to actually happen across the board. The only way we're going to turn this around is by leading by example. That's ultimately what's happened, Reaper. It's because of the pre-programming. It's because of the it's because of the mindsets that we've allowed all of this Agenda 21 BS, and the newest one is the Agenda 2020. Wow, you want to talk about a nightmare. Like I said, Hillary triggered this too early. We were all of us that have minds weren't supposed to be alive anymore. This stuff was supposed to be a slow process, and she triggered the gun because she wanted to be, the ultimate king of the planet or something. I don't know. I don't know, but it triggered too early. We're, the world is beginning to wake up that something has been going on very slowly, and it's just like back in one of my other videos, I talk about you want to change the world, go for a walk every day and bring home a rock. And every day, that pile of rocks, you know, first year, 365, and so on and so on and so on. And eventually, you're going to have changed the world and have this huge rock pile in your yard. It only takes one little thing here, one little thing there on a daily basis to change the world. You can change your bank account by putting money in once a day and never taking it out. Things can slowly happen. Well, that's kind of what they've done to society on a global scale. is very, very slowly. They've taken away rights. They've taken away this. They've taken away that. They've put people in this mindset that, oh my God, you have to get home in time so you can see this half-hour sitcom about nothing. The water cooler discussions about this, that, and the other. So when I sit back and I look at my bad sales in this book, it's because I didn't take that into account. That people ultimately are not willing to accept responsibility for what they let happen. And they're not willing to just go out, wash their yard, clean up the pollution, and let Mother Nature run her course. That's really ultimately what we're talking about. Then, if you want things to be a little bit better, you add a little bit of something extra to fix what's missing. It's it's almost like somebody sat down long ago and said, we have this creature on the planet called the sloth. It's very slow, very methodical, doesn't burn up a lot of energy, doesn't this, doesn't that, doesn't the other, but it exists and it breeds and it does one little thing on the planet. And that's all it does, and that's it. And they decided then what they were going to do was turn all the humans into sloths. And then you wonder why these kids on their cell phones want $15 an hour to sit in front of a fryer that's going to beep to tell them when the fries are done cooking and then serve them up cold to you at the drive-in window at McDonald's. We allowed this to happen. We weren't paying attention and we allowed this to happen. They very, very slowly, very, very methodically caused this. Now, how do we turn it around? How do we make the difference? How do we show people there's a better way to do this and a better way to life? You know, I want my world to change immediately. I want my twinkling star. I want my farm. I want to start the second book. I want to get into, but I didn't take into account where we are as a planet, the overall human beings, and how nobody wants to accept responsibility. I mean, when you say camping to somebody now, they think RV. They take everything with them: the shower, the toilet, the food, the cooking. And to put somebody in a tent and make them make a fire is so far out of the question. Oh my God. I mean, hell, last time I went just to a camping resort area, everybody had to get a fire ring to contain their fire in because they were worried about fires starting in the grass and spreading because people ultimately are lazy and don't accept responsibility for themselves. I don't understand. We were taught to dig a hole, start a fire, and then when we put it out, to bury the hole, put the dirt back in, put the fire out. That's how we were taught as Cub Scouts. This idea that, hey, hell, I've got one neighbor, this will make you all sick. I got one neighbor that barbecues, and instead of starting a fire with a fire stick and newspaper and that kind of stuff, he douses the grill and the briquettes in gasoline, lets it sit for a few minutes, then lights it, and then wonders why the food doesn't quite taste right. Swear to God, lack of responsibility, lack of understanding. So should I just sit back and accept it, that that's where we're going and I've wasted my time? No, no, I can't accept that. Someone has to say something. Somebody has to lead the way. Somebody has to open the door. Somebody has to point at how simple it is to change anything, whether that be a pebble at a time, walking down a path and taking it home, or going outside and fixing the planet. I can't accept that we're so far gone that there's no way to turn this around. I can't accept that. I can't. I can't. It's a simple thing. It's a simple thing. Go wash the pollution out of your yard. Start there. Watch the difference just that much makes in your yard. Just clean up the pollution and watch the difference. All these people want to run around protesting. The government needs to do something. Okay, okay, I get it. But when do we as a planet accept responsibility that the only way we can clean up the pollution in our private property is for us to clean it up ourselves first, then look at everybody else? Well, in this situation, Reaper, no, that's not actually true. In this situation, the scientific numbers are in, all the facts are in, and the food web struggling to survive is what's producing all the greenhouse gases. By us washing the pollution off our yard, we stop that from happening. We allow the food web to not have to struggle, to not have to work so hard, to not have to produce all those excess gases that are causing the greenhouse condition. Those are the facts, those are the numbers. It's in. The food web struggling so hard to survive is causing 90% of the greenhouse gases to our planet right now, because it's having to work so much harder to do what it does just to survive. It's not even helping the plants at this point. It's just struggling to survive because of the amount of pollution. If we just wash the pollution off, we could start turning this around. And we have to start at home. We have to start at home. There's no other direction to take this. There's no other way to look at this. There's no other way to go. We have to start at home first and then work our way out. Lead by example. Take responsibility for yourself first. We caused this millennial mindset by sitting back saying, I don't want to. I'll just wait. That's the example they see. And now we have this condition. The first millennial that pops up that says, look, I saved thousands this year by growing my own garden, is going to be the leader. It's that bad. Oh, I know. I know. I have the same problem, Casey. Every single day, more trash from the kids. They just throw it down in the street and walk away. They don't care. And their parents, that's what makes it the worst. Their parents are sitting right there on their own porches watching these kids do it and not saying a word. I actually had a job at one time where this lady had to have been in her 50s, told me that it's perfectly okay to trash this store's parking lot because it's the city's job to come clean it up on private property. That's what she told me. That's what she has told her kids. That's what she has told her neighbors. And everybody is under the same mindset that it's the city's responsibility to clean up the city. So trash it as you please. And then wonder why we're sitting here. Wonder why we're in this condition. You know, everybody sits back and goes, oh my God, look at the oceans. Look at how much trash has ended up in the ocean. You know, it didn't even make it into the news that last week our president signed a bill funding the cleanup of the oceans and the lakes around our country. The news isn't going to cover that. Mm-mm. No, no. But yeah, he just signed a bill funding it. The money was there. The government's finally going to start helping the cleanup. But you're never going to hear that. That's not allowed to be told to you. The news isn't going to cover it. Greenpeace isn't involved. That the President of the United States has finally signed a bill and has funded the cleanup of our lakes and our oceans. It's gotten that bad. It's gotten that bad. You know, our president's doing something, and you're not allowed to know it. You're not allowed to know it. You know, read a joke the other day about the Russian collusion. Democrat walks into a bar in Washington, D.C., and asks what the newest popular drink is. And the bartender tells him it's, well, you know, the most popular thing right now is the Russian collusion drink. And the Democrat sits there and gets his big old smile on his face and says, I'll have one of those. So the bartender gives him an empty glass. And the Democrat paid for it. Get it? Get it? I know it takes a little bit of mind muscle. Get that thing spinning a little bit. They'll buy into anything, even when there's nothing there. Oh, I know. I know, Kay. I realize. I realize. There's a better way, everybody. There's a better way. The lack of understanding of what the food web is going through and what the food web provides us. And then to understand that what we're doing in our ignorance and our laziness, accepting that pollution is just a fact of life, blows me away. And then we want to blame the millennials for being lazy? No, come on. No, they are following our example. If we're not willing to get out of our way to do something, why should they? Really? Why should they? You know, I'll pick on you, Reaper, just because it just popped into my head what you had said one of the last streams we were on. We lead by example. Every time you clean up your backyard, more glass appears. And you finally got to the point where you're tired of cleaning up the glass and you won't walk around in your backyard barefoot because no matter how much glass you clean up, there's always more. It's that mindset. That's the one your kids are watching and understanding. If it's okay for you, then why should they do anything? It's the mindset. And don't misunderstand me, brother. Don't misunderstand me. Somebody taught you that. Somebody else showed you that way. You may not remember who it was, but somebody older taught you that way. We gotta accept responsibility. The only way to understand what's going on and the only way to turn things around is to accept responsibility for ourselves and do something for ourselves first and foremost. We can't we can't look at these kids of today and blame them and hold them responsible for something we taught them to do. And that's lack of responsibility, not wanting to make things a little bit healthier, make things a little bit better, make things turn around just a little bit. We used to judge our kids and judge our world on, well, are you responsible enough to own a pet and to feed it every day and clean up after it every day and what have you? So you know what the great mindset program was? The great way of fixing that was to come up with this stupid electronic key fob where they had to go in there once or twice a day and hit a couple of buttons to feed the animal and what have you, and that was taking care of a pet because that didn't die. The battery just ran out. Now, what do you think that ultimately taught our kids? So, you know, one of the first signs, and I'm sure a lot of you remember this, one of the first signs that our country, our world was starting to come apart was when everybody bought a pet rock and had a pet rock sitting on our counters, had a pet rock sitting on our shelves. Look, I own a pet rock. That guy made millions. And that should have been the first sign that something was wrong in the world, that the pet rock made somebody rich. Seriously. Seriously. Hey, sunshine. Good morning, my dear. Loving you. Oh, Tim got. Oh, dear God. That was the name of that damn key fob toy thing? Oh, jeez. See, and I mean, but that's the mindset. That's the mindset. Nobody wants to accept responsibility. So instead of raising our kids to be, okay, you're 5 or 6 years old, yeah, you're old enough to have a puppy, and it's got to be walked every day, and it's got to be cleaned up after, and it's got to, do this, and got to feed it, and it's now time for you to accept the responsibility and have a pet of your own. So we get them a pet rock, and then wonder why, we have all these generations sitting around going, well, the government will take care of it. The government will take care of it. Somebody owes me a paycheck because I'm alive. I don't do anything. I don't contribute anything, but I will stand here and complain about it. So somebody owes me. I can't get a job because I have too many tattoos. It's somebody else's fault. Everything else is somebody else's fault. So somebody has to pay me. Okay. Okay. Don't accept responsibility for yourself. Okay. I just, so got to change our way of thinking and start showing by example. Clean up the catastrophe that we've allowed to happen and turn it around and go the other way. California just had Earth Day celebration, and city workers went in the next morning Now, these people, they planted a record number of trees this year, something like 600 million trees got planted around the world on Earth Day. But city worker went into the park where everybody had gathered for Earth Day celebration the next day. The amount of trash and destruction left behind by these Earth Day celebrators. You couldn't see the grass. You couldn't see anything in the park. It was just total devastation. Oh, honey, you had to listen to all of it. I'm sorry, you haven't been here to understand. I'm not bashing the Tamagotchi, and I love my tattoos. Still want to find all the 13s. Appreciate you coming in, Bradley. But you know, just it's just this idea. It's just I've got a got this really odd neighbor, very very odd. Has a smart car. Went out and bought a rotary push mower. It's got the rounding blades in it, so there's no gas power to it. And I'm sure you all saw the old ones. You all know what I'm kind of referring to. Um, but as you push it, the blades, the 4 or 5 blades, all twisted around each other, spin around and slice the grass. Um, they're great. They're great. That's actually the right way to cut grass. The mowers that we all have today, um, they yeah, they're just too much. Um, well, anyways, this goofy neighbor of mine who's incapable of changing his own light bulbs and will call one of us at 4 o'clock in the morning to come help him change a light bulb because he doesn't understand. Legitimately, the man doesn't understand lefty loosey, righty tighty. Does the concept just totally escapes him? He just doesn't. It does not register. So he's got all of this stuff. He's got the smart car. He's got the right lawnmower, what have you. But he can't be bothered to even cut his own grass. He's got to pay his neighbor to cut it. And yet he'll still go over and yell at his neighbor if his grass gets too long. But he's Mr. Earth conscious. He has the equipment, but too lazy to do it himself. We created that generation. We allowed that to happen by not holding them responsible, by not giving them basic chores in a sense. I think that's gone. Now it's the idea of, hey, I exist. I deserve. I deserve to have my allowance. Well, what did you do? Nothing. I'm here. I deserve an allowance. You didn't do. 6-year-olds with cell phones. They're going into grade school, first grade, and they've all got cell phones. It's just this is where we're at. This is where we're at. Our 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 food is killing us deliberately. Somebody's game plan. Put you all on NPK chemicals and then watch your body fall apart. Watch the gray hair kick in hardcore because you got lack of copper in your system because you're eating garbage for food. But because the newest, latest, greatest commercial from Burger King says this is the best stuff in the world to eat, and it turns out it's all chemicals, and there isn't an ounce of protein in it. There isn't an ounce of vitamins and minerals in it. There isn't an ounce of nothing. But hey, you can get that in 10 minutes on the drive-by. So, yep, that's what we got to have. Just blows me away. I actually, before I close this up and give my final little BS about buying a book, I actually applied to a job this week cutting grass, and I had to do an online survey, and everything's become this way. So it's not a shock. It's the second time I've done one. And because I have no felonies, I have no record, I'm not in trouble for anything, I'm honest, I won't steal from anybody, I'm not qualified for that job. It disqualified me because I was too honest. So the new mindset of the world apparently is you have to be a criminal or you can't have a job. You have to have a felony or you're just not normal. There's something wrong with you. I can't get my head around it. I can't stop being depressed about it. But it's like, so what am I supposed to do now? Lie on any future surveys? Say, yep, I agree in fighting. I agree in stealing. I agree in stealing time from the company that I didn't earn. Wow. Just wow. It's really, really waking me up to what's going on. It's really bad. Reaper, I feel worse for you. You've got girls. I can just imagine the boys going to be showing up at your door. Well, the problem is, Kay, that's all that's out there now. Seriously. They don't want honest employees. They want people that they can fire for justified reasons. So they hire these hotheads, these thieves, and what have you, so that they've got justification for terminating them. I get it. But that's the new college teaching, the college learning. If you're in a state where you have laws protecting people for this, that, or the other, you hire people that are deliberately going to be in violation of that stuff knowingly so that you can terminate them and not have to pay the unemployment insurance on them. That's what it's come down to. And that's what they're teaching in college. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. But c'est la vie. C'est la vie. All right, I'll go into my final little speech here. We got a few minutes left. But yep. Financially, I'm out of cash. I'm out of money. I'm in trouble. I spent $17,000 getting this book together. I want to sell a bunch of signed copies. I'm on number 16. Looking for work. I'll be stepping back and not doing as many live streams because of what I've got going on. Sorry, guys. I'm not leaving. But reality bites. Best way to put it. So, yeah, I need help. I'm not going to do a GoFundMe for the $17,000 it cost me to write this book. But I'd love to sell a bunch of copies to you guys personally at $25 a crack through my PayPal account. And any other funding would be greatly appreciated. It's thegreenwizard@hotmail.com. Otherwise, yeah, check the links below. Buy the book. Accept responsibility. Learn the information that has been lost. Feed yourself better. Give yourself better living circumstances. Let's turn this around. Um, let's go a different direction. Lead by example. Accept responsibility. Now, I had a discussion with somebody very dear to my heart yesterday about kids, what the future holds, and it was brought up about these daycares, and you see all of these nightmare stories about daycares, and I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. That is no way to raise a kid. I've got two nephews that were raised in that world. They're a disaster by comparison to three other nieces and nephews that were raised by their mother. Successes to nothing. Successes to dishwashers. Huge, huge, tremendous difference between a daycare child and a child raised by their mother at home. I'm sure that the government's going to come out against that next, and that all kids are going to have to be attending daycare mandatorily. Blah, 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 blah. We did this to ourselves, guys. We did this to ourselves. Time to accept responsibility. Lead by example. Your neighbors can't know there's a better way if they don't see there's a better way. That's where this goes. So I appreciate you all coming. I appreciate you all hanging out for a little while. I got a twinkling star I got to go chase. You all have yourselves a great day. You know where to find me. You'll catch me around the streams. We'll see you, everybody. Have a good day.